Today's lesson is on solving absolute value equations. In reviewing absolute value, remember that an absolute value is the number of units from 0 on the number line. So for instance, the absolute value of -3 is 3, and the absolute value of +3 is also 3, because both of them are 3 units from 0 on the number line. In number 1, we have the absolute value of x is equal to 5. So what we're saying here is which value is 5 units away from 0 on the number line. Because we can go in two directions from the number line, either positive or negative, we're going to get two different answers. So they're going to split our original equation. So x could equal 5 or x could equal -5. When you substitute them back into the original, the absolute value of 5 is 5, and the absolute value of -5 is also 5. So both of these answers are correct. And number 2, slightly different. This is the only one that only has one answer. Because 0 is not positive or negative, I can only have x is equal to 0. That's the only value for x in number 2 that will make that a true statement. And looking at number 3, we're getting a little bit more in depth. So we have the absolute value of x minus 2 is equal to 5. We can still go in either direction away from 0, either towards the positive or towards the negative. So we are going to split. So the rule is I'm going to first rewrite the equation that's inside the absolute value symbol, and then I'm going to write equals 5. That's my original equation with without the absolute value symbols. I can do that because the absolute value symbol is already isolated. It's the only thing on the left-hand side of this equation. When I split into the other equation, I have x minus 2, that's going to stay the same, is equal to, and this time instead of +5, I'm going to have -5. So I'm going to solve both of them separately. I have x is equal to 7, and in my other equation I have x is equal to -3. So both of those will make that a true statement. Now I'm going to check this. So here's my check. I have 7 minus 2 in the absolute value symbol, which is 5, equals 5. That's true. And when I check my other equation, I have -3 minus 2, and the absolute value symbol is equal to 5, which is true because this 3 here gives me the absolute value of -5, which is 5, so I'm good. So I know both of these answers are correct. And looking at our next set of problems, we are a little bit more in depth. So when I have my wall, I notice that I don't have my absolute value symbol by itself. It's not isolated yet. So I need to get rid of this 4 first. So I'm going to bring the 4 to the other side, which gives me the absolute value of 2x plus 3 is equal to 5. Now, once that absolute value symbol is isolated, I can then split it. So I have 2x plus 3 is equal to 5, and my other equation is going to say 2x plus 3 is equal to -5. So I'll solve. So again, in my first equation, bring 3 to the other side, and I have 2x is equal to 2, divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 1. So that's one value. My other equation, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and I have 2x is equal to -8, so x is equal to -4. So both of those answers are correct. In number 5, again, I'm still building on my original concept. The first thing I have to do is I have to isolate my absolute value symbol. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides, and I have 3 times the absolute value symbol of x plus 2 is equal to 21. Now again, I don't have this absolute value symbol all by itself quite yet. I need to get rid of that 3. So that's really 3 times the absolute value of x plus 2. So I'm going to do the opposite operation. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So that gives me the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 7. So now from here I can split. So I have x plus 2 is equal to 7, and I have x plus 2 is equal to -7. Get x by itself, and I have x is equal to +5. And my other equation, I have x is equal to -9. So again, both of those answers are correct. I can plug that back into the original equation, substituting my values in for x to check my answers. In my last example today, we're going to come up with a little different solution, which we haven't seen yet today in today's lesson. So again, there's my wall. I need to isolate my absolute value symbol, so I'm going to divide both sides by -4. And I have the absolute value of x minus 7 is equal to -4. So I'm going to rewrite that. So I have the absolute value of x minus 7 is equal to -4. Now, this -4 is really where the problem is. Remember with absolute value, it's asking how many units or how many steps the number is away from 0 on the number line. It can never be negative, so once I isolate my absolute value symbol and it's equal to a negative number, I know that my answer is no solution. There is no value that will work that is -4 units away from 0. We just don't count that way. So that's my final answer, no solution.